Since INCA membership has not only national groups but also disease-specific groups, we'll be hearing from the Association of Multiple Endocrine Neoplasia. Geoffrey?
Okay, right, so for now, for something slightly different. Thanks, Theodora, for the invitation. For those who don't know me, Jo Gray, and I run the Association for Multiple Endocrine Neoplasia Disorders, and that's why we call it AMEND. We're based in the UK. We actually have a membership of around 1,200 people, mainly in the UK, but we also have some from other English-speaking countries. And as the diagram that we've produced indicates, MEN, there are several types of MEN, 1, 2, 3, 4 now, where it should be. Some people still refer to it in the old nomenclature, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. I'm sure there'll be a 5 and a 6 one day, but we're trying to juggle what we've got so far. So MEN disorders predispose a person with the mutation, the genetic mutation, to develop more than one neuroendocrine tumour, and they can arise at different times. They can arise all at the same time. You may get one and the others do not appear in your lifetime. You may get all three. So each child of an affected parent has a 50% chance of inheriting the condition as well. So we're talking about multiple patients within one family as well, and there are lots of issues that go with the fact that it is genetic. So there's been a lot of talk about lots of fascinating kind of treatments, but for our children, what we are incredibly grateful for, and it's obviously still free in the UK, is the treatment is surgery, and we can still have that. And it can be curative, at least for some of the cancers in some of the children, not all of them. So our aims are exactly the same, I think, as everybody who's spoken so far. So I'm only going to look really at three of them. Obviously, the friendship and the research. Research, we can only do it when we've got the money. That's not very often, unfortunately. So far, since 2012, £75,000, and 50,000 of that went in 2015 looking at medullary thyroid cancer, which is a much ignored neuroendocrine tumour as well. Right, here we go. So our information resources that we've developed over the years, we've developed not just adult literature, but also children's literature. We're also starting to focus on adolescent literature, or probably not literature for adolescents because they don't like reading. So we're going to have to think a little bit more exciting, I don't know. We run events like everyone else, but generally speaking, it's one big annual event and then maybe another smaller one somewhere in the UK. This year, our annual event is not just MEN, because we do other work as well with some other sort of ultra-rare neuroendocrine tumours, so we're also including PHEO, para patients, SDH patients, and adrenal cortical cancer as well. And I spend a lot of my time finding ways to educate the medical profession. I go and I will lecture to medical students. I go and talk to second-year medical students. I think somebody else said they did the same sort of thing. But that is to try and get them interested in it. I was even talking to some college students and trying to explain how interesting endocrinology and neuroendocrinology is. And I also go and talk to junior doctors as well. So if there's an MSc student kind of lecture opportunity, I'm in there like a rabid bull. So with our families, there are lots of different issues. So it's not just treatment. A lot of it's psychosocial problems. And so we've started a new range of sort of socioeconomic kind of titles, if you like, the first of which was starting a family, because there was no resource anywhere which actually gave a genetic patient all the options available to them. So we've put them all in one place, and it's proven an extremely popular publication so far with our younger patients who have been diagnosed quite young, and they're coming up through the system, and they're now starting on thinking about having a family of their own. On the support side, we do the same as everybody else. We have wonderful Facebook groups, we have our events. But the kind of feather in our cap really is our free counselling service, because I don't know if all countries are the same, but in the UK, psychological services have been slashed to virtually nothing. And it's an absolute, it's just shocking, really. We've had suicides, we have self-harm. It's pretty bad. So I'll come on to that a little bit more. I also go, and this came up as well, I think Mark mentioned it in one of the workshops, I actually do go to, I think it's 3 London hospitals now, because I can get there quite easily. I'd like to go to all of them, but I can't clone myself and do stuff like that just yet. I need to find the volunteers who are capable. And I will go and have a consulting room in the clinic when all the MEN patients are brought in. One of them is once a month, that's at the Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital, and the other one is every sort of 3 months, and another one is being set up. So I go there when all the MEN patients are brought in, and I'll have a consulting room, and the clinicians will bring the patients from their consultation through to see me. And I think if you're in any doubts to whether that's an effective use of time, I think I've only ever really had one person who didn't want to come and see me, and that's because he had to get back to work, and he came to see me the next time he was in anyway. They find it incredibly useful. It means that I'm giving the patients information. The doctors don't have to worry about that. They can just get on with doing what they need to do, and I'll pick up that, and I'll feed back things to them also. For instance, if someone has really low literacy levels and they've not understood a thing, which has happened, I will feed that back to make sure that the clinicians bear that in mind. And we don't have an app yet. I'd love an app, but we do have a very physical, like a what's that word, Kathy? Filofax. That's the one. Like the old Filofax. Yeah. So we have one of these, and in that patients can record their journey, their contact details for clinicians and specialist nurses, etc. So the challenge is support. Our counselling service, we do surveys, so we keep an eye on what's going on. And our counselling service has uncovered the fact that, over 50% of the patients who support, who come to us and who use our survey have really serious psychological issues. It just has a negative effect. The fact that you have this genetic condition has a negative effect on a huge sort of variety of life. So, and the sort of themes that the counsellor sees are these problems are caused by, in the main, symptom treatment and management. So, I think that's common to most things. Fears for the future is related to passing on the gene to your children. There is a huge amount of guilt that is around in our sort of patient community, depending on the decisions or the time of diagnosis. Dealing with diagnosis, relationship issues, there's quite a few divorces, but I suppose that's not really that uncommon these days. Work-related issues, we have problems with employers, so that's another one of our psychosocial titles that will be coming out as well. And suicidal thoughts, that's a third of people with MEN are not thinking well. The only sort of caveat with this is that this is from patients who have contacted a patient support group. Ergo, they needed support anyway, so it could be that in the wider population there are actually quite a few people who are doing well. Advocacy, well, a lot of the time I go, thank God for the Net Patient Foundation, because they do a really fantastic job for a lot of stuff that's also relevant to us. So I do slightly different things. Kathy alluded to the specialised clinical reference groups, and we're the kind of the mob. I sit on that board, and it kind of makes recommendations to NHS England for funding for specialised services for neuroendocrine tumours as well. We have the NET specification, but also for endocrinology. I have done some work with the medicines agencies when necessary, and research projects, the most exciting of which now, finally it's getting somewhere. I am the patient representative on the up-and-coming MEN1 and pancreatic neuroendocrine tumour research registry, which is based out of Oxford with Professor Raj Thacker. And I think I've sort of been put in charge of recruiting patients and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a great thing, and I can't wait to really get my teeth into that one. So our final challenge is Brexit. As you can see, I'm a European. It's everything is unknown. I think there was something in the news this morning that said that Mrs. May pressed the button on Tuesday, and I hope not, but I know it's going to happen. So this is going to have, and nobody knows what's going to happen. They really don't. Research funding is probably going to dry up. Charitable funding is already drying up, and the UK National Health Service is already losing doctors, nurses, and having trouble recruiting people into universities to become doctors and nurses. So that's it.
On a positive note, I would like to thank Jo and obviously Kathy with her organisation too. As the clinician said this morning, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, and Jo has been so kind because we're seeing so many more MEN patients and theos and paras to share her resources that we are able to adapt in Australia, and we've had like Rory Clifton Bly have a look at it. I put it through our consumer advisory group who are MEN patients and theos, because obviously there's a few different things because of our system, but it's just invaluable what you have provided for us, because that's not something we need to invest our time in. We need to be doing other things. So
great.
We really, really appreciate it.
And actually the resources are, I didn't say there, but even our children's resources, we have thousands and thousands of comic books. If you ever need any comic books for kids of 8 and over, I have basically a garage, an office, and some other room somewhere near me full of comic books. So you can always contact me and I'll always send them to you. It's not a problem. We also on our website have cartoons about MEN from age 5. So this is when a lot of the kids with, say, MEN2 are undergoing prophylactic thyroidectomies. And sometimes you just need to explain to them about what's going to happen or what's happening to another member of the family, a parent or something. So, and if you ever want to use those and you want to translate into a different language, those are the easiest things to do, because you can just contact me. We can let you have that, and all you need to do is a different voiceover. You just need to pay for a voiceover, €200, something like that. So.
I think it's a good point that Simone was making about this sharing of information. I think we should make it our mission to go and look at each other's websites and see what information is out there, because it's so easy when I just embed Joe's stuff into our website.
Cheeky.
I know. And it's really so simple to do it. It's all it's really easy.
And I do vice versa. I nick her stuff as well, so it's okay.
It's so lucky. Don't know what everybody's got on offer. And I think it's really important that we go and check each other's out.
Yeah. Always happy to help.
It costs so much money to produce.
We don't need to. The information is pretty much the same.
Sorry, Dora.
You mentioned research. Did you say it's £75,000 last year?
Yeah, since 2012, we wanted to do. We're not very rich, so we wanted to do £10,000 a year, and then 1 year in memory of someone who had died from medullary thyroid cancer. Somebody raised £50,000, and we wanted to spend that on medullary thyroid cancer research, and that's yielding. Everything that we've done really is yielding some nice results. Some of it's part funding, etc. So there's one in Dundee looking at producing cell lines for pancreatic neuroendocrine tumours, and that's doing quite well. And another one at the Francis Crick Institute in London, where they're sort of looking at the resistance that develops up in medullary thyroid cancer treatment. So, and that's proving quite useful. That's an international collaboration.
That sounds really great.
Yeah, I wish we could afford to do more of it, but we're a bit broke at the moment. So we're not broke, but a bit short. Okay.